This is continuing day 18. This is 18B in world history, and we are now talking about our last five-river civilization, the old five rivers, ancient China. There's five ancient rivers we talk about primarily. There's four ancient civilizations. We are on the fifth river, the Huanghe, and the fourth civilization, China. And that's because we look at two rivers in Mesopotamia, Tigris and Euphrates. So if we look at this chart here, and it includes the Mayans of the Americas, and we will look at them later in history when we look at the explorers. The Middle East is our Mesopotamian portion, got early Sumer to begin in 3000 BC, and then Akkadians, Babylon, Old Babylon, Assyria, later Babylon, etc. China, we're going to look at the three sovereigns and five emperors, then the Qi, the Shang, and the Zhou. India, we've got the mature Harappan here that we looked at, the Vedic, and then later Indian empires. The Maurya that we looked at, and the Gupta in India. And then Egypt, later Egypt is going to be taken over by the Greek and the Romans, so that's why Egypt ends up going to them. So it gives you kind of a nice overview there, I think, of ancient history. So to begin in China, we'll talk about the Qi dynasty from approximately 2,000 years before Christ to about 1600 BC. The Qi dynasty. Note number one is the Qi dynasty is founded by Yu the Great, and he is the first in history Chinese emperor. The second note is that Yu's organization of flood control projects on the Huanghe was critical in his rise to power. You know that critical to have a civilization, a larger group of people living together and sharing common characteristics, is to be able to utilize the river for food production and to guard the people from the destruction that a healthy river can have with flood season. Got some oracle bones. The Chinese writing is the earliest. They also invented the wheel, but Mesopotamians did as well, but separately. Pottery, armor, and they began to make silk. The fourth note is that archaeologists are still digging and finding artifacts that help them to learn more about the Qi era. There is still a lot of mystery. There's a lot of new discoveries to be made. And after the Qi come in the Shang dynasty, 1600 BC to 1046 BC, and this is where they centered their power, the Shang dynasty or Shang dynasty. And note number one is the Shang dynasty controlled the clans of northern China. They united both the areas around the Huanghe and the Yangtze River. And some artifacts from their dynasty. They created farming surplus. They created a farming surplus, bronze metallurgy, and they built walled towns. So we begin the habit of building walls in China. Note number three is that there is an abundance of written record and artwork, so we can learn more what was important to the Shang people and how they went about their day. Now, to talk about how they went about their day, we'll talk about ancient Chinese society. Note number one is that the Qi and Shang societies resembled those of other ancient cultures. Specifically, what do we mean by that? Well, noble warriors owned land, merchants and artisans lived in cities. That resembles other cultures. Most people were rural peasant farmers. That also is similar to other ancient cultures. What are the contributions from ancient China? The ancient Chinese developed writing 4,000 years ago. That's a huge contribution. And their writing included pictographs, drawings of objects, and ideographs, which are drawings of thoughts and ideas. And I'm going to show you some cool examples. And we're going to look at some amazing examples in class today and practice writing them. So, to get ready to show you some of those awesome ancient examples, I want to remind us that compared with other ancient writings, the Bible, I will talk about the Bible and Chinese writing soon. We can find Genesis in the Chinese characters. The Bible